We are back with Mater at Iron Ape Coatings and Fab with Colton and Chase. You guys know them, of course, the twins over here in Bonifay, Florida. We got Justin with us, got Mike with us, Dip and Deisel behind the camera, so shout out to those guys for giving me a help. We are going to introduce you guys to all the parts we got for this truck to get this build up and going. We're actually going to be pulling this engine out now that we mocked it up, and we got our engine mounts that we were just looking at with Chase and Colton on how we're actually going to mount this thing up. Now that we got a game plan together, we're going to pull this engine out today while we're here and paint the firewall and the fenders and clean them up a lot. We got flat disc with us and all sorts of primers and stuff. So let's show you guys the engine mounts. This is from Farmstrong Incorporated from Pennsylvania. I'll put their link down below, as well as AirDog and Mishimoto. And of course, huge shout out to the Big Bear Engine Company, 4btengines.com. They're always going to be linked down below for the engine. They all are doing a great job with this build, and I couldn't be more appreciative of the sponsors for the channel and getting this thing up and running, because Mater, in a couple months, hopefully in less than a couple months, this thing's going to be up and rolling. We're waiting on the transmission NV4500. The one we went and looked at is actually a four-wheel drive. I guess the guy didn't know if it was four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. So it's either convert the four-wheel drive one, which costs a couple $100, to a two-wheel drive, or just get a two-wheel drive. So we're trying to find a two-wheel drive that's in good shape. You guys know they don't make those anymore that aren't remanned. So finding an NV4500 in my area is just kind of tough, but we're locating one. We think we know where one's at. So let's show you the engine mounts real quick. You guys know the 4BT has a shaking problem, so we got these huge bushings. These are going to help reduce that vibration. These things are super, super tough. These are going to be legit, guys. You can check out the wells and the 1/4-inch plate. This thing, check out the cuts on the steel also. You can tell these guys know what they're doing. They've been doing this a while, and it definitely shows. Check out the welds on this bad boy. These are super strong. We're going to end up having to modify them a little bit, but for the most part, 99% of this is going to work the way it's supposed to be, which is awesome, because we want to keep the integrity of the steel all together. So that's going to be good. Comes with grade 8 bolts, stainless steel hardware, all good to go here. We got the sump from AirDog right here. Check this thing out. It's a Deisel RX sump. This thing's going to be able to supply us with good fuel. Of course, we got the AirDog right here. You guys know about AirDog. We've always used AirDog, supplying us for our lift pump. Any diesel you guys got is definitely highly recommended. I always say, when you get a diesel, you need a lift pump, you need gauges out the gate, so you can monitor and take care of your diesel engine. So lift pump here, going to supply us good fuel pressure, wiring harness, all of our tubes, our draw straw, of course our pump right here. This is the AirDog 2 4G. Get you a part number right here. It's a model. It's a DF165. That's what we're going to be throwing on here. This is going to supply us with a lot of fuel for Mater, and that's going to be awesome. All of our fittings and everything like that, you guys know, mounting brackets that go to the frame, sandwich the frame, bolts go through it. Very self-explanatory, you guys know. Very excited to show you this Mishimoto intercooler, and the radiator we're going to talk about here in a second, but the intercooler, water to air, we're going to put it right up here in the engine bay. This is going to supply us with a lot of cooling. And we're going to mount this up right here. The engine's going to slide back a couple inches. It's going to still have plenty enough room. We're going to 90 this. We're going to turn this elbow in the turbo, come right in here at the bottom. Then our top, we're going to go cross over right from the intake horn and go right over the engine like them old 12-valve non-intercooleds. That's kind of the setup. And then our feed in return for our water. This thing's going to supply a lot of cooling. So if you go on their website, this is actually for a 6.7 Power Stroke. I think it's 17 through 19. That's what you're going to find this under. But I'll put a link down below to this thing. It's going to definitely be awesome for Mater and supply plenty enough cooling. So the radiator, let's talk about the radiator real quick. We just mocked it up. It's a little big. You can see right here. So it's a little bit big. Now, to cool this 4BT, we're going to have to get a radiator that can cool 3.9 liters. This one can, but it's a little bit too big. Our initial plan was to come over here, throw this thing between the grill and the engine. We're going with electric fans on this thing, so this is going to be back about 4 inches. We were going to cut these sides off right here and fit it in between. We're a couple inches short on Mater, and without having to just drastically change the front end of this truck, which we don't want to do. So we're going to try to find a little bit smaller of a radiator that's going to fit and not have to make us do drastic changes. So that's a little bit of a change right there. So the transmission and the radiator, those are the two ones that are up in the air, but intercooler, engine mounts, a lot of the big stuff is already figured out, and our placements for things. Chase had mentioned something about for the radiator, if we have to end up going with a little bit smaller of one, using, what are they calling it, the ice?
It's called engine ice. It's a antifreeze coolant that they say runs anywhere between 10 to 15% cooler than just regular coolant. To be able to keep the engine temps cooler, because I know Caleb wants to be able to haul with the truck. We wish we could do a little bit bigger radiator than what we can fit, but we're just, like you said, limited to the space. We really won't know everything until we get it in there and just see what temp the engines run at. It's only 3.9, liters, so it's not that big of an engine, so it shouldn't need too much coolant. But it's just depending on how much weight he wants to put behind it. It's the real big question. I know you want to pull your gooseneck and everything like that with
Exactly.
it.
The last thing we want is cooling issues with this thing. That's just going to be aggravating. So we want to go ahead and do it right the first time so we don't have to deal with it in the future. But let's jump right into work. We got a lot of guys here to give us a hand. We're going to snatch this engine right out here. And
before we do that, do you want to kind of give them a preview of the water dairy intercooler? You already mentioned it.
Yeah. Show them we're going to mount it up and kind of run our piping and stuff. Stainless steel piping.
Stainless steel.
That's what we're going to do.
Stainless steel intercooler.
Stainless steel. So we're going to get this thing snatched out of here, guys, and get to work painting this engine bay, and we should be good to go. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you're new, subscribe. If you enjoy the video, hit that like button down below. Jump right into it. Alrighty guys, we got the engine bay pretty much prepped up. We've been letting it dark now because we let the rust preventative sit on there for a little while so that hopefully no rust ever comes back through. We knocked it down with 40 on the flat disc, went up to 200, 400 on sand, hand sanded the rest, knocked the majority of it down. A lot of it's to bare metal. Now we're going to go with a high build gray primer and just put a few coats on there, probably 2 to 3 coats heavy, and just lay it on, let that sit. Probably knock it down with 1,000, smooth it out, then come back with our Boulevard Black. Isn't that what it's called? I think it's called Boulevard Black from our Eastwood. You know, we painted the truck with Jaded Green. Make sure you check out those videos. That was a good series of, I've never painted before. Jonathan behind the camera never painted before. And we actually turned out with some good results with the Jaded Green from Eastwood. And the fenders and the floorboards are that Boulevard Black. So I think that was like 5 videos of good quality content, start to finish, from like the rustiest truck you've ever seen pulled out of a pole barn in your life to what it looks like now. And it's all on the playlist. If you guys are new to the channel, check out the Made or Build playlist from us taking this out of the barn till now. You guys will see everything. So we're just going to go with a couple coats. We've already got everything masked off for the most part. Be careful around the edges. And get this thing coated up. We'll see you guys in a minute. Alrighty guys, so we got a lot of work done today on Mater. Got all the old engine parts and all the things we're not going to be using as far as wiring goes. We're going to be doing all new wiring for the truck. So all that's out now. The firewall's painted, the fenders are painted. We got a nice, that Boulevard black's going to match the fenders and the floorboard. Turned out pretty good actually, cleaned it up really good. We got to get the stock bell housing out of there. Obviously we got to run a new bell housing. We already got that. So I think the bell housing is getting powder coated right now. The transmission we already talked about in the beginning of this video. We still got to locate a two-wheel drive one because the one we thought we could get is four-wheel drive. But we did get a lot done today, and you see all the parts that we have going on. We are going to send that radiator back to Mishimoto and get it changed out for a smaller one. We tried to kind of get away with going too big and kind of bit us right there, but it happens. Like I said in the last video, if this has been done before, it's probably only been done a couple times, so there are going to be some things that we got to learn, but we're going to share that all with you guys along the way. So if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you're hitting that like button down below. Check out Iron Ape Coatings and Fab for supporting the build. Make sure you're checking out Jonathan behind the camera, Dippin' Diesel, and also Mike just left. He's got a YouTube channel now, Uncle Mike. Appreciate you guys helping out, supporting the channel. We'll see you guys in the next one. Lots of things happening with the shop. Shop should be done today, I believe. Paint should be going on the walls, and all the roll-up doors are being installed today. Also, Fat Tony, we got to get a new drive shaft. You guys seen in the last video, we did a first drive with Fat Tony. Ended up tearing the drive shaft because of the rust, the pitting. We figured out there was 2 points of rust straight through the drive shaft, and they were like literally paper thin and missing actually in some spots. So when that drive shaft twisted, when it started rotating too fast, it literally just twisted off, snapped in half. Go check out that video if you haven't, and the full playlist on Mater. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Next video is going to be a lot of progress. See you then. Peace.